Well, hello there, everyone. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. It is Thanksgiving in the year 2021. It's Thursday, November the 25th, actually. I was going to say 24th, but it's the 25th. Every day is a Saturday to me, but today the roads should be quieter. They normally are on Thanksgiving. Certain stores may get busy later today, but I'm really not sure though. I don't really do too much shopping. I was in Lowe's yesterday evening though, because we bought a new washing machine. It should be here on Saturday. Yeah, the one we had here was in the house, and it was, the year on it was 2007, so it's what, 15 years old, but it still looked to be in good shape. I don't think it was used a lot over the years, but it just was acting funky. Things didn't seem correct. Water levels sometimes were like that much water with that much clothing. We'd had to add water to it. The agitator would do it like this at times, and other times it would just barely move. So instead of paying someone to come out and fix it, we just bought a new one. So anyway, I digress. Hopefully you're all are doing well. We're gonna go somewhere this afternoon. We're taking weekly trips somewhere, and a lot of times we'll go in the afternoon because that way we eat lunch in our house, and we go somewhere close, not too far away. But we may go walk on a beach. We may go to a park where manatees may be. There's water there. I was debating taking my kayak, putting it in my trunk, and going kayaking. Like go somewhere and go kayaking. There's another park, a different park that's like really big, and they say it's best to explore with a kayak or a canoe. I haven't been there yet, but we talked about it. But we may not do that today. We may just drive by there and see the place first. Maybe, and then take the kayak at a later day, but we'll see. We're definitely going to do something today, though. So I'm just going to do a catch-up video on some of my various investments, bring you all up to date on different things that have been happening, because every day it seems like my mustache is getting gray, and I get gray hair sometimes in there. I see, just like my hair is gray. It was blonde when I was a kid, it got brown, it got dark for a period of time, it got lighter, and now it's just transitioning to gray. Such is life. I used to give talks in schools as a cop, and it was a long time ago, 10, 15 years ago, and some kid laughed and said something like, "Hey, Officer Maskey, I see gray in your hair." And I was probably in my it was probably late 30s maybe, and I laughed and I said, "It's better than the alternative," and he was like, "What?" And some girl started laughing next to him and made some smart comment to him about him being dumb. And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "The alternative." And I said, "The alternative is dying young. If you don't want to have gray hair, you die young. Who wants to die young? I prefer to get gray hair and live to be, I wouldn't mind if all my hair got gray and fell out over decades of living. Not today, but over decades of living. Because that means I lived a long time, which means I got to experience more things. Some of my experiences are investing in mutual funds, investing in stocks, investing in real estate, investing in oil, mineral rights, acreage, and investing in crypto. Just a quick little recap on some of my various investments, and I'm curious which ones you like hearing about the best. Okay, my stocks, I have a very small stock portfolio. It goes up and down. I got some growth stocks in there, but very small, very small. We got the Mrs. 401k plan, but we transitioned that one to a short-term, whatever they call it, short-term reserve fund or something. It's their most stable fund. It's more bonds, I believe. I don't care about growth in that one because we're going to start tapping into it soon. And I don't want the volatility of it being in the stock market. I don't want it, when I need the money, I don't want it to be the stock market to be crashing. So I'm happy if it just stays where it's at. And once 2022 gets here, we'll see. I may buy a house or two, a rental house or two. I may buy a little oil. I may buy a little crypto. I may buy a little mineral rights. But moving on, let's see. Stocks I don't have that many stocks. Rental properties. One tenant in Birmingham is getting evicted. That tenant, I was under the misconception that Alabama was a landlord-friendly state. I know I've read that on Bigger Pockets and some other places. It's not a landlord-friendly state. It can take upwards of 6 months to get a person out, possibly even a little bit longer. One thing I did talk to the attorney that my property manager is using, because the property management company, I'm on my third property management company, and they just don't seem to know what's going on. So I called the attorney, and they told me where they were in the process. And they said that it's, what was their word? It's basically the tenant wants to fight the eviction, saying that whatever they're saying, the tenant's saying, but it's cut and dry. I was told that the case is cut and dry. I'm going to win. It's still a process to go through before that tenant will be set out, if it comes to that. And what will happen is, in that area, they told me the sheriff's department will actually go, and if the person does not leave, they will physically carry out the contents of the house. I don't know if the deputies do it or they hire contractors, but they said most tenants will leave prior to that. But if they don't, the sheriff's department will empty the contents out of the house, which is interesting. And they also told me that tenants don't realize this, but they go after the tenant financially. They'll get a judgment for all missing rent, all court costs, all lawyer fees, and put a judgment on the tenant. And they said it is good for 10 years. And if that tenant ever gets government assistance or gets a job that they find out about, because a lot of times you get a job, it'll end up, I guess, on your credit report. They have a way of finding out if a person's working a job. They will go after the person to garnish wages. They'll garnish wages. And they said if the 10 years ends and they haven't gotten any money yet, they can extend it another 10 years. And they said it may be a pleasant surprise. It may be a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. But I may get a check in the mail for the missing rent. So personally, I hope that tenant becomes homeless, because they're in my house living for free and they're refusing to leave because I want to sell that house. So my personal hope is they end up homeless, because they don't care about me. They don't care about me having to pay a mortgage. They don't care about there's been damage in that house that they did not report. They're that kind of people. I don't know them. I've never seen them. I don't even know their name off the top of my head. I could find it, but I don't know off the top of my head. And I wouldn't say it if I did know it. But I do hope they get homeless. I don't care. I have no soft spot in my heart for people like that. My personal opinion is they need to go to jail. They're taking advantage of somebody. And there is a segment of society that does this around the country. And I personally think, I'm a retired police officer. I personally think they need to go to jail, because they're evil. They're evil. Do not stay in someone's house if you're not paying the rent. Just move out. If you can't afford it, live under a bridge. Don't screw people over like that. So anyway, I digress. That's the downside of real estate. Up in Indiana and in Virginia, things are going well. I am selling my multifamily building, my triplex. I am selling that. That seems to be progressing along. My other single family home, I'm keeping it. I'll keep it for maybe forever. We'll see. In Indiana, it goes back and forth. I got houses that have been rehabbed. I got a new tenant that just moved into a house. I got another tenant that their lease is not getting renewed. They're a Section 8 tenant, and Section 8 is refusing to pay the increased rent cost. And this is 2 years in a row. They're refusing to pay an increase, and the house is under market rent. So we are not renewing that lease. So Section 8 and HUD, they're losing a house, and I will not make that house a Section 8 house again unless they ever raise their rent up. So that tenant, who knows where they'll go. And other rents, they're all trickling in. My oil investment, I got my monthly revenue check. It was 7.7% of my investment, which it's okay. It's okay. It's not the greatest, but it's okay. But the words used to me was, come about next March, the returns of this year would just be a blip, because they expect the returns by about March to really accelerate. Whatever it may be, and this is an annualized monthly return. It may be 25%, it may be 37%, it may be 50%, it may be 75%. We shall see. We shall see. Mineral rights returns, they're trickling in. Some of my recent portfolio buys, I will not get the checks probably till January, February, March, somewhere in there. I made, I think, 5 recent purchases. So they all could be slightly different when I'll get the first checks, but they'll come trickling in. Crypto, I checked just a little bit ago. The staked ohm I bought, staked ohms, OHM. I'd say ohm. When I made the initial purchase, it was 2.002 OHMs. It is now up to 2.09 something OHMs. Because approximately every 8 hours it rebases, which means they give, it's kind of like giving interest. They pay interest every 8 hours, and that gets it's a smaller amount, but it gets added to my 2.002, and then as that 2.0 something grows, it's the same percentage, I guess, is being paid out, more or less, más o menos. But then I'll start off getting like a 0.79, then it was 0.80, now 0.81. Now I think I'm getting a 0.82 OHMs at rebasing. So it'll go up over time. I also am considering getting a strong node. A strong node, you have to buy 10 strong tokens, and those 10 tokens you can use to buy a single node. Once you get a single node, what's the term? You stake it? No, you don't stake it. You do something with it. I forget the term now. I haven't done it yet, that's why. But once you do it, it starts, like, it has a daily, approximately a 0.1 interest every day, approximately. I think it's like more like a 0.099 or something like that. So, which means after approximately 10 days, you'll get enough tokens in. It adds up. I forget. I have to it was late last night when I was looking at everything, so I got to refresh my mind. But it seems interesting. So I did make a transfer where I'm going to start this process, but I got to wait for the money to clear, and so on and so on. And then so sometime next week, I'll update you when I do it. Depends on in the market. It goes up and down. So if certain prices go up, because what I have to do is get Ethereum, and I buy these smart tokens with Ethereum. Okay, so I made the purchase of the Ethereum. I hold more Ethereum now, and I'm going to use that to buy the smart tokens. But I got to wait for the money to clear basically before I can make that purchase. So since I bought the Ethereum, the price of Ethereum has gone up. I've made, last I checked, $200 in 12 hours, something like that. But it could go back down. So, I'm not taking the profit out. Crypto has large fees. When you buy, sell, trade, swap, make any transaction at all, it's a fee. And they're hefty. They're hefty. On the Ethereum network, you have what they call gas fees. Depends on the time of day and how busy they are. They're expensive. Coinbase has a fee. It's like 2 point something %. So, I'm used to in the stock market having zero commissions or cheap commissions. Or in real estate, it's a consistent commission based on the sale price. I know more or less exactly what it's going to cost me. With crypto, it can vary. It depends on the time of day of the week, et cetera, et cetera. It can vary. So, but it's interesting. It's fun. The Coinbase, and I do not recommend, if you have no other investments, don't go straight into crypto. It is the most risky investment of all, to my knowledge. Okay, and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an attorney. Nothing like that. I'm not a crypto expert. But from my humble opinion, it is the riskiest investment. You could potentially lose everything, or lose everything. In the stock market, you're probably not going to lose everything. In real estate, if you get reckless, you can lose everything. But if you get 30-year fixed rate loans, as long as you can swing the mortgage if the tenant stops paying, you should be okay. Especially as time goes on, you should be okay. Crypto is risky though. So if you have no other investments, like so many young people, don't just put it all into crypto. Get something else. Diversify first. Get other investments first. Then branch out a small percentage of your portfolio into crypto. All right? Okay, good enough. All right, it might be time for an early snack, early lunch, early cup of coffee, and then we're going to hit the road and somewhere close. It's not a long road trip. So we're going to go out and do some exploring, have a little fun. All right, y'all take care. Mazske is signing out.